America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to know and do to finally achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. Black nurses have been on the front lines before COVID, during COVID, and now after COVID. They make up about 7% of the nursing population. Upward mobility and professional development have been challenging as a result, and you see nurses leaving this profession in droves. Well, today we're going to talk with somebody who's made it her mission to help Black nurses thrive in spite of these volatile times that we find ourselves in. So here are the 3 takeaways from today's show. First, as it relates to your career, you need to understand that it is a contact sport. And so to that end, professional development is critical, and joining a professional organization can make all the difference. That's why I'm excited to have our guest here today. She's Meaty Bartonelli, and she is head of nursing oncology at MedStar Health in Washington, D.C., but she's also the founder of the Black Nurses Collaborative, really designed to help Black nurses thrive in the industry, provide them with professional development and networking opportunities. And it is my pleasure to welcome Meaty to Get Wealthy today. Welcome to Get Wealthy, Meaty.
Thank you so much for having me, Deborah. What an honor, and thank you for being able to share that platform. I wasn't sure who you were talking about, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about your Black Nurses Collaborative, of course, because I do feel like in so many professions, Black women specifically are on the front lines, but we hit a career ceiling, and so much of it, of course, a lack of diversity, a lack of access to opportunities to move our career forward. And often we don't have that person available to whisper in our ear. And so that's why I believe that professional organizations are so important. And so I want to begin our conversation there. Meaty, you have had quite the career in nursing. You've been in ICU, right? And now you're in oncology. Interesting in terms of the different, kind of polar opposites, if you will. But I'm interested to know your perspective on nursing and what was the catalyst for you starting the Black Nursing Collaborative?
Great question. And we can have a 2-hour discussion just on that one question alone, Deborah. So I'll try to be succinct. You alluded to that in your introduction. It is so important and imperative for everyone to understand, as you said, your career is a contact sport. And I've learned that. And I have been so fortunate to recognize that pretty much in the early summer of my career, if you will. When you first start out in any profession, particularly in nursing, you're just trying to survive. You're trying to figure out to make sure you don't kill anyone. You're trying to make sure you don't have medication errors. You're trying to make sure you get used to working those 12, 16-hour shifts. However, what the catalyst was for me was really what is beyond the bedside? What is caring beyond the bedside, care beyond the bedside, and what is the upward mobility for individuals that look like me? You already alluded to, again, about there's only 7 to 8% of nurses that are African Americans. Therefore, using that number alone will tell you those of us that are in leadership positions is even a much smaller number. COVID is something that we're still managing and maneuvering through as we are experiencing. We're out of a pandemic phase now into an endemic phase. And I think it's important for people to recognize and realize that, as you said again earlier, nurses have been doing this work pre, during, and post-COVID. We have always exposed ourselves to situations and scenarios that put our own lives at risk. And so it's not that we're superhuman or superheroes. It is just that we are called to do the work. So that is for all nurses, whether you're Black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever it is. Nurses really are the ones that drive healthcare in our country. What I will say is what drove me to begin the Black Nurse Collaborative was really simple. I needed a community, Deborah. What I've learned, and as you teach us all the time on your episodes and people that have been connected with you regarding health and wealth, I've learned, Deborah, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are and how much Deborah helps us to get our financial orders in place. If you're not healthy enough to do those things, it's all for naught. So it's so important to realize that from a professional perspective, your network is your greatest net worth. And then from a physical perspective, your health is the greatest wealth asset that you have. So the Black Nurse Collaborative really spawned from a place and a desire to create opportunities to uplift each other, those of us in the profession, to also look and reach back and create pipelines and opportunities for other nurses like us, those of us that have already been in the profession, and creating opportunities for the younger in the profession, nurses moving upward, and also helping our community, helping people realize, as we learned through COVID, the messenger was more important than the message sometimes. And so in order to get people to get vaccinated, sometimes they had to have trust. And a lot of times, in particular in the African-American community, there is, and rightfully so, there is a huge disparity of trust in the medical profession. And so realizing and having people that look like you, i.e. me, going into those communities and helping you say, yes, this is safe. Yes, you should do this. Yes, get your checkups. Yes, get that exam done. That's really where it began.
Yes, well, I'm so glad you said that, and one of the reasons I was that was perfect, just in kind of framing the conversation. And one of the things that why I was so interested in speaking with you, Meaty, is because in our Wealthy You community, we focus on Black women, and many of those Black women are in these types of careers professionally. And what I've been sort of challenged by is how much effort and work and purpose that you all have, because you have to be called to this profession. Certainly you don't go into nursing because, from some kind of economic incentive, as you do in other careers, right? And so to that end, I want to talk our conversation to be around our framework for success, mindset, strategy, and execution. And so to that end, in speaking to nurses who may be watching this, or even a family member who may be interested in learning more about the Black Nurses Collaborative, I want to talk about mindset, because I really feel like you have all been so challenged in this environment, particularly with the pandemic. And you said it, putting your lives at risk in order to, and being on the front line, because yes, I've been amazed at the amount of distrust people have towards vaccines and all of these other precautions that we had to take because of the pandemic. And so my first question to you about mindset, what is the mindset that you would like to see in our society, right, in our communities, that can allow us to help nurses stay in the profession? Because as I also see, is many of you are leaving.
Wow, very loaded question. And I would first start with saying that nursing is truly a calling. It is something that you have to do and that you want to do to make sure that you are giving back. I think it is important for the community, and what I would implore everybody is to really value your health. Our healthcare system, I call it sick care system, really needs a complete overhaul. We really need to make sure, Deborah, that we are doing more preventative care, that we have more community-based health initiatives to make sure the communities are healthy and safe. And we also need to make sure that education and health literacy starts at a very young age, and that we also make sure that professionals that are in, as you alluded to earlier, very high stress jobs recognize the importance of maintaining their health and well-being, because that is why the system is now completely overstressed.
Well, I mean, it's overstressed. There are a number of reasons, right? And I'm glad you brought up preventative care, because our insurance system is broken, right? So often what is happening is that people are using urgent or emergency care as their primary care, right? So I only go to see the doctor if something really catastrophic has happened. And at that time, it's not about preventative medicine. But I do love the fact that you have, you are communicating to the community itself the importance of taking care of ourselves health-wise, so that then that is more preventative and it's behavioral. However, I would love to ask you this question, and it is in many of our communities, part of that stress, right, and part of our health outcomes are based on stress. You know, the environment that we're in, many folks are living, barely making, and I don't mean just in poverty. I mean, there are the working poor who are working every day, but can't really afford health care. So as you look at the Black Nursing Collaborative, what do you feel like you're going to have to advocate for in order to get, the resources available?
Well, one thing I will say, Deborah, and people, and I apologize in advance, there are a lot of resources available. The issue, Deborah, is that people just aren't aware of them. There's a lot of opportunities that we need to make sure that we are sharing for free resources and free opportunities, quite frankly, that are available, but we are not doing a good job of communicating that. We, meaning the healthcare community, the public health arena, is not doing a good job of sharing that. And as you alluded to, there are many individuals like yourself or me that are working, college educated individuals that have a really good job, but are underinsured and or uninsured at all, only because you have to choose, do I pay the car note or do I pay this extra amount in healthcare? And so it is important, I know in closing, that we really just make sure that we do our best to advocate and share health literacy. And that, for me, I think is a first step to make sure that we share that before we then address all the other social determinants of health, where you live, work, play, and pray. So it's important to make sure that we as a community understand that, and that we also let individuals know where they can get those additional resources.
That's great, because that's an excellent segue into our next segment, which is about strategy, right? Mm-hmm. Like strategy, what do folks need to do to make sure that they are aware of what kinds of resources and our support are out there. So folks, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, I want to have a conversation with Midi Bartonelli, who is the founder of Black Nurses Collaborative, about the strategies that the community itself can use to have better health outcomes. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, host of Get Wealthy. And what we're talking about today is the fact that your health is wealth. And that's why I'm excited to have Midi Bardanilli here, who is the founder of the Black Nurses Collaborative. And we're talking about what you need, what the community needs to do, and also what her organization is advocating for. Midi, talking about strategy now, right? What kind of strategies? Now I want to talk to your audience, right? With your community of nurses. I want to talk about why the Black Nurses Collaborative was so important, because there are other, Black Nurses Associations. There are a number of all other associations. What makes this different, the Black Nurses Collaborative?
That is $1 million question, and I'm so happy to answer that question.
Okay.
Full disclosure, I am a part of some of those other organizations that you just alluded to, and they do great and amazing work. However, an opportunity that I saw, Deborah, very specifically, was connecting the dots. It's one thing, to have a scholarship fund. It's one thing to do health fairs, but it's another thing to bring those all together, to partner, and then to see that come to fruition. And it's another thing to also at the same time help with the upward mobility of the Black nurse. And so that's sometimes I think what is missing. So what specifically the Black Nurse Collaborative is seeking to do, we have a 3-year, 5-year, and a 10-year strategic plan that our membership is aware of. And what we are seeking to do is not just uplift each other and create that community where we know, like, and trust each other, but we're also creating professional opportunities. So for example, if I know of a leadership opportunity at X hospital, and I believe that Deborah would be a great candidate, why not refer Deborah to that situation? Other organizations aren't necessarily doing that. If there is an opportunity to be on an advisory board, why not reach out to Nurse Deborah and give her that opportunity? Because what happens is that we are intentional, keyword using intentional, using our collective impact with intentionality, so that we can therefore make a lasting impact, not on ourselves individually, but also our community. The second thing is community partnerships and making sure, for example, I just found out, I got called a few days ago, Deborah, we are going to be having and sponsoring a COVID vaccination program next week. And we turned that around in a matter of 24 hours with the Department of Health and Human Services right here in District of Columbia. And so what happens is that we want to make sure that not only are we doing upward mobility for ourselves, that we're also impacting the health and the well-being of our community by doing the health fairs and doing vaccine fairs, et cetera. But then the last thing is also promoting entrepreneurship, which I'm sure you would enjoy, because creating opportunities that people don't realize that nurses can be consultants. Nurses can do so many other things outside of the acute care hospital setting, beyond the bedside, that sometimes we don't know. I myself, Deborah, have had great opportunities to be a subject matter expert on a project for real estate. Who knew? I didn't know that. And so that is also something where I'm speaking about connecting the dots. And then lastly, what makes us, sets us aside, is that we are creating opportunities for new professional nurses that are coming right out of school and helping them to get job opportunities, helping them get those nurse and externship opportunities that they need, and hiring them. And even within our own organizational structure, we have a student nurse advisor who's on our executive board. And so he is a nursing student at Howard University, but he sits on the executive board, and he's able to learn and grow and glean knowledge from what we are doing, not just as professional nurses, but also how we are managing this organization. So for me, it's really about connecting the dots.
I do feel, I'm so glad you brought up the entrepreneurial side and the mobility, upward mobility aspect of it, because I do think in larger organizations that sometimes that gets lost, right? And many of our organizations, whether it be sororities or fraternities, those are service organizations. So they're not necessarily the kind of hands-on kind of support that people need to, certainly you have networking opportunities. So I do like the intentionality aspect of it. Woo, that was a mouthful. The other question I have for you, because here's what I see from my purview, is that particularly in nursing and in nonprofit organization, there is a lack of financial literacy around just the programs that you have for your own wealth building, right? Whether it be a 403B or 401k, I feel like nurses could be so much further ahead financially if they were able to get access and fully understood what opportunities they have, levers they have within those organizations. And so my question to you is, what are your thoughts around that? And what can be done to help nurses not only focus on the health of others, but on their own personal wealth?
Agreed. And so hopefully, as you and I have spoken, Deborah, a while ago, I'm looking to even do those additional partnerships, even with individuals like yourself, and Get Healthy and the Healthy You programming that you have. Nurses, ironically, particularly because of COVID, do have a very unique opportunity, Deborah, to make a lot of money because of the overtime, because of
That's what I like to hear.
yeah, because of the overtime, because of the high rates that we are now getting, because of the bonuses, because of the short staffing scenarios that we are all experiencing at the moment. It's interesting. So as a nursing director, and I'm not old, but I'm not young either. So a lot of my younger nurses, I ask them, hey, have you maxed out your 401k? And that's very basic. I'm sure that you would say, Deborah, it's a very basic opportunity to save a few dollars. And you would be surprised by these nurses who are making over six figures that are not even maxing out their 401k. And so what we have spoken about in the Black Nurse Collaborative, in addition to the entrepreneurship opportunities, is how do we really understand the legacy building opportunities that we have? So if we are having these opportunities to get these consulting jobs and we're getting a speaking engagement that gives you a $5,000, speaker's fee, what are you doing with that money so you can then continue to enhance yourself and your well-being? And so because of that, we are looking to partner with individuals like yourself that can help us with the knowledge. And what I would say, Deborah, is I don't know either. And that's why I need people like you and others to help us partner to understand that. Have a heart attack. I'm your girl. But don't ask me. I can save your life, but don't ask me about, what mutual fund I should use, or should I really get a trust in a living will, and how do I prepare for, I'm a mother. How does my husband and I prepare for my husband's future? I didn't go to school for that. That's not my wheelhouse of expertise. And so what we are sharing with our membership and that we're going to be doing, we're just barely not even a full year old in our organization. We have already begun to have those type of conversations about, now that we are at this stage in our career, whether you're the new nurse, whether you're in the summer of what I call of your career, such as myself, whether you're in the fall of your career or you're in the winter of your career, what are you doing so you can be financially stable? And most, not all, but most medical organizations and health organizations rather do have a fairly decent, retirement opportunities. Are you taking advantage of that? And again, because of literacy issues regarding financial literacy, just as you and I alluded to health literacy earlier, a lot of times the Black nurse particularly is not even aware of that because he or she is just going to pick up that extra shift. And Deborah, you would probably clutch your pearls if you realize how much money we are leaving to taxes and other things because we are not being financially astute in managing those affairs.
Yeah, but what I would say, I'm even going to push back on that a little bit, because here's the issue that I see is that within your organizations, with whatever health institution or healthcare institution you with, they have plans, right, for you. And those administrators, whatever those who are investment companies, they really are. They really are tasked with helping the members of the plan understand what they have, right? And so I really feel like there's a disconnect there, not to toot my own horn, but I'm frustrated when someone comes into the Wealthy You community and they've been working for an organization for more than 20 years and they have not fully taken advantage of all of their benefits, or even worse, they are putting the maximum in, but because of the choices that they've made, they have half of what they could have had they had the knowledge. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to put a plug in there for you guys, and I'm going to say that you guys need to be advocating within your organizations to hold these plan administrators to the fire so that they can come and talk to the members within your respective companies or organizations. So that's all I wanted to say. It's not on you. And that's the point that.
And what I would say to that, as we toggle the pushback, is that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to pause and take care of you, whether that's physically, mentally, financially, whatever it is. What I will say, Deborah, at my organization, they have a table in the cafeteria, often at least once a month, with the people that are just sitting there. I can tell you, people walk right by that table and don't reach out to them. No different than what I alluded to earlier, that at least in the District of Columbia, there are a plethora of very free opportunities to help those that are underinsured or uninsured, but we just don't know. And so I think, using to your point, you made a very valid point, that is what we have just begun to talk about, of the financial well-being of us as nurses as well. And are we doing those things that you just spoke to? And can we have a seminar where we have a person like Deborah come and speak to us about maximizing the opportunities even where you are? And so I think those are both opportunities where you, the individual, have to begin to value yourself. You know, health is your greatest wealth, your greatest asset as well, but even your financial assets, you have to make sure that you're looking at the opportunities you do have. Everybody may not be able to afford a financial planner, but are you speaking to the free financial advice that you can get right when you walk through the cafeteria? And many of us aren't doing that. So your point is very well taken.
That's good, because when we come back, that's the perfect segue into execution. You know, we've talked about mindset and the kinds of the environment that you're all dealing in as nurses. And we've also talked and the opportunities that, you know, it is interesting. That's one of our one of the principles of Wealthy You Really Are, that sometimes problems can be opportunities. And even though nurses are leaving the industry, it has created some other opportunities. But when we come back, I want to talk about execution. I want you to provide our viewers, and if they're in nursing, and I think it'll probably apply to any industry, what they need to be thinking about to actually execute on the opportunities. So when we come back, folks, mindset, strategy, and execution. Now, what do you need to actually do to execute on the information that we're sharing with you today? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, and we're getting wealthy today, but we're getting wealthy and we're learning about the nursing profession, the challenges, but also the opportunities. Welcome back, our guest, Meaty Bartonelli. And Meaty, now I want to talk about, and that's what I'm excited about, your Black Nurse Collaborative. I've been sort of stalking you on LinkedIn because I'm always interested in specifically the industries where we have a significant number of women of color. And so to that end, you've talked about the Black Nurses Collaborative and taking on, focusing on the kind of entrepreneurial opportunities that your nurses in your profession can take advantage of. Talk to us a little bit about, like, how do you see that? What are these opportunities that your potential membership needs to be aware of?
The first one is opportunities to be lecturers at some of the local, depending upon where you are, in nursing schools. There's a huge shortage. You think there's a nursing shortage, Deborah, of nurses at the bedside. It is a much more difficult and a huge conundrum of having nursing professors. Regardless if you're Black or white, it doesn't matter. There is definitely a shortage of nurse educators to educate the new nurse. And so that is an opportunity that we are also trying to facilitate and develop relationships with local universities and schools of academia that we're able to help the nurse. The second one is paid positions, quite frankly, on many boards. People forget and don't understand that is also an opportunity, because most organizations, not all, but there is a large number of them that are looking to have that ear and that voice of a health individual as they're having conversations about their organization. That's an opportunity. Then the other one is creating your own coaching opportunities, where you are creating spaces in a place and you're developing programming around helping individuals in their career professions. Believe it or not, there is no real easy pathway to say, if I want to be a director, how do I do that? If I want to become a COO of an organization, how do I do that? If I want to become a chief nurse officer, what does that look like? Nurses in our training, we're taught about the healthcare, we're taught about the bedside, we're taught about the medical issues that we're seeking to address, but we're oftentimes not taught nor educated about the business of healthcare. And so there's opportunities as well for individuals who have been successful to partner in doing those things and creating those relationships. And my own organization, we have members that own a scrub line. We have members that have just created and developed their own compression stockings business as well. We have members that have created an actual school of certified nursing assistants and home health aides. So you have nurses that are teaching them. So we have people who own and operate several businesses within our organization, in addition to consultancy. As I said, that is a huge opportunity as well, because many organizations, even hospital organizations, don't necessarily need someone full time, but they might need you to upstand a project or a program. And so you can get paid to do that. You can get paid to help to write curriculum. And so those are opportunities that a lot of times that we don't think about, because we do it second nature, Deborah. And so to take a moment and think about, how is it that I can monetize for my brilliance? How can I take the brilliance that I have and create a financial stream of income to help me and my personal family? So I think those are opportunities that oftentimes the Black and any nurse, quite frankly, will miss. And so I would even implore, as you indicated, beyond nursing, think about what it is that you do. What is that passion that you have that people are always asking you for? And what I've learned, Deborah, is that I've missed many opportunities of just giving out my knowledge and my brilliance for free. And I realized, wait a minute, that's what consultants do. Wait a minute, you mean to tell me that I could create an LLC, and when I'm doing this conversation or doing this, that I could charge $100 or $200 or whatever it is an hour, that you might need me to review a program or proposal for you, and I can make income? Because no one can take away from Edie Bartnelli my lived experiences or my experiences as a nurse. No matter of what you have done, my knowledge and my background is what is valuable to that individual.
It's interesting, the shift that we're seeing, and just around entrepreneurship, right? And really not thinking of ourselves as just employees, right, and earners, but also how to take those skills and talents and monetize them. The question I have for you, do you feel like it's this entrepreneurial mindset, and I know they're calling it the creator economy now, is a result of COVID and these flexible schedules that or working from home? Certainly not in your profession, but do you think that's one of the reasons that nurses are more open to not just, bedside, but exploring other opportunities?
The short answer is absolutely. I believe that nurses had already begun to make that shift. And I think COVID just kind of pushed us directly into the pool head first. I think what you found is that nurses, the stress of managing patients, the stress of patient care, the stress of being understaffed, overworked, the stress of the long hours, people said, wait a minute, I need to find something else to help augment this other than just picking up an extra additional shift. And when you start having conversations, as you are aware, and I think COVID did kind of highlight this, the importance of really recognizing the opportunities of health and wellness. And people really never really focused on that as much until COVID came, particularly when you think about the endemic that I believe that we're experiencing with mental health. And so I think everybody just said, let me just take a woosah moment, Deborah, and let me figure out how can I care for me? And just as I alluded to earlier, I'm not the financial guru, but I am a health and well-being guru because that is what I do. And I think that was an opportunity where nurses did, to your point, take that as an opportunity to say, wait a minute, I can do something else. Most major organizations, my husband works for one of the largest health insurance companies. They have a whole division around wellness and well-being for their company. My hospital, I'm not speaking on behalf of it, but MedStar Health has they can have employees that literally just work on the health and well-being of their associates and us as nurses. And so I think people are now valuing that the human resource in a business is the greatest asset that you have as well. So people's priority buckets have been shifting, and nurses, I think, have definitely been able to capitalize on that because we are by nature nurturers. It's in the name of our profession, nurses, nurturers. That's what we do. And so no shade or no pushback to our physician colleagues or anyone else, but we truly are the ones that are at the bedside for 12 hours a day. And so you have to, what does a nurturer do to reinvigorate and revitalize him or herself? And so, yes, nurses definitely, to your question, use this opportunity for other entrepreneurship things to make sure that we realize that we can add value to corporate America.
You said something interesting, and you said something really interesting, and that is that we're seeing a almost tipping point, if you will. So you have nurses leaving the profession, or you have nurses who are looking at other entrepreneurial pursuits. What do you think the impact of the healthcare industry itself, and being able to close the gap between the people that are leaving and less people entering the profession? How do you see that playing out?
Well, what I would say to that, Deborah, is that is another $1 million question. So much so that all three of the major nursing associations, the National League of Nursing, the American Nursing Association, I'm chair of the DC Board of Nursing, which is a part of the National Council State Boards of Nursing. They have literally gotten together to talk about the next stages of nursing workforce. We don't have an answer. We're trying to figure it out because you can't make people go into the nursing profession. However, what I allude to and what I appreciate is the fact that nurses are now more valued and appreciated than we have been. And as you said in your opening introduction, we have been doing this work before Florence Nightingale, quite frankly. And so I think it's an opportunity for people to recognize, just as we did about teachers, people more so appreciate teachers after COVID in particular, because, luckily my son, and we still had some challenges, my son was an older child. I could not imagine teaching a pre-K or a kindergartner online, Deborah. And so I think the shift has really just been an appreciation for the profession. For the last 20 years, we have been listed as as the most trusted profession, but we're often the most underpaid and underappreciated and overworked. And so what happens? And so again, there is no specific answer to your question. I just think that we as nurses have to continue to care for the nurses that are entering into profession, creating opportunities for them to feel that it is a profession, not just a job, and that also making sure that other industries are valuing, within our own industry, healthcare, value the nurse. Show us value and pay us our worth.
And then finally, my last question is, how would you, if someone's listening to this and considering nursing as a profession, what advice would you give them?
Go into the profession because you care. And nursing is truly nothing but the business of caring. If you love people, if you love seeing somebody who was not able to walk and then 2 weeks later they're walking, if you love really caring about humanity, nursing is a profession for you. If you are able to multitask and you like and you thrive in a very high impact, very challenging profession, that is what we do every day. If you like and really can understand all aspects of healthcare, nurses, quite frankly, we are interpreters for the physician. We're social workers. We're pharmacists. We're therapists. It is a scenario that there has never been, even though, yes, it is a challenging profession, I have not yet negated or been frustrated with the fact that I chose this profession. Because why? I love helping people, and I thrive and I live off of a spirit of service. And so that would be my first thing. Don't go into it for the money. Don't go into it just because you saw and you think it's sexy because you watched ER or Grey's Anatomy or any of those shows. Truly go into it because you are making a difference. That nurse at that bedside, you are holding the hand of individuals that you're basically a surrogate family member. And if you love and you enjoy that, nursing is absolutely the best profession, and I don't regret a single minute of it.
So inspiring, Meany. What I love about what you just said is it's not the money, it's the mission. And to that end, we've learned so much, but when we come back, I want you to consider it our lightning round. Analyze, optimize, maximize. If a nurse is watching this show, what I want to come back and you to share with them is what they need to focus on in order to accelerate their growth in their career, ultimately finding that nexus of being valued, right? And having value and actually creating a purse of their own. So when we come back, folks, it's our Analyze, Optimize, and Maximize segment. Don't go anywhere.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. He stoked racial violence, attacked voting rights, and if reelected, vowed to be a dictator and, quote, get revenge. We can't go back. As president, I put money in pockets, creating millions of new jobs, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we've been having a fascinating conversation with Meany Bartonelli of the Black Nurses Collaborative. As you all know, nurses have been on the front line, and this is really about how can we help them really succeed in what has been pretty volatile times for them. And that's why I'm glad to welcome back Meany Bartonelli and to talk about the Black Nurses Collaborative. You really gave us an overview of what your objective is and how you're different from the other associations, of which there are a few in Black nursing. So I'd like for you to first share with our audience, specifically those in the nursing profession, what they should be thinking about in how they need to be analyzing the marketplace themselves so that they can succeed and flourish in spite of all of the kind of challenges and obstacles that have presented themselves.
Deborah, I would just say, first of all, thank you for that. And thank you for painting a very good framework for this picture. Nursing is a very, very rewarding yet challenging profession. It's not easy, but it's extremely an opportunity to truly be able to give. And it's one of the very few professions where you can see the fruits of your labor most times, depending upon where you are in the profession. And I would just implore to everybody is find yourself a tribe, find yourself a community, find yourself a mentor. One of the greatest mentors that I've had, and she was a white woman, her name was Becky Rose, God rest her soul. When Becky first hired me into my very first nursing role as a cardiac ICU nurse, I was one, Deborah, of only 3 out of a staff of about 40 nurses. And so what she said to me is, be confident in what you know and confident in what you don't know. And what I took from that nearly 2 decades later is to be confident in your skill set. So anybody that is a current nurse or an aspiring nurse or in nursing school, first make sure, unlike any other profession, if we make a mistake, Deborah, that is truly life or death. If I administered the wrong medication, the wrong dose to the wrong patient at the wrong time, it has catastrophic consequences. So it's important for us to be first clinically competent, know what you know, and know that you know what you know. And I say that in just because it's important that you realize what you do makes a difference. Literally, it's life or death. The second thing is, particularly as an African-American nurse, find yourself a role model. Find yourself a coach or a mentor that is going to put you on the trajectory for whatever it is that you want to do. For example, if you are a med-surg nurse and you think that you want to go into pediatrics or you want to work in an ER, find a nurse who is doing that thing and connect with him or her. And make sure you are connecting. Create time. Go shadow. Make sure you are having that actual experience. If you are someone like myself, where you're already in a leadership role and you may have aspirations for something else, find that mentor, because it's not about competition, Deborah, it's about collaboration. And I implore any nursing leader, as any leader should, is you should start thinking about succession planning. And if you don't make that thing known, if you don't let them know that you have that interest, then that is a missed opportunity. If you are in an acute care hospital setting, get on those hospital committees. Learn the workings of hospitals, Deborah. Understand that the policies and procedures and how they come about. And make sure that you find somebody who's going to take the time to share and walk you through that process. And then lastly, what I would say, well, second to last, what I would say is join an association, have membership, and be an active member. Don't be a sideline participant. Put on a helmet and get in the game. Understand what's happening. Ask questions. And as my mentor, Becky Rose, said to me, the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. And so be confident of who you are, what you are in your knowledge base, but don't be afraid to go seek those things that you don't know. And so again, I've had the blessed opportunity being a Howard grad and having and being fortified and understanding of who I am. I've never had that timid spirit of going to ask questions. And I think for us, particularly as African-American nurses, that we don't see ourselves in those situations. And that's why representation does matter. So when you do find that individual, do your best to try to latch on and to learn and to ask questions that can then help you move forward in your trajectory. As you said earlier, your professional career is a contact sport. If you sit on the sideline, you're going to have that same desk job for the next 20 years. And that's okay, right, Deborah, if that's what you choose to do. But if you have aspirations, you're going to have to do something different. The saying is that a wise man learns from a fool man's mistakes. So don't just keep sitting there and not asking the person who is successful. So for me, it is those things. And then in closing, I have 5 leadership tips, Deborah, that I share with new nurses that I hire, whether it's a new grad nurse or my manager that I hire that works for me. First, have compassion. Because imagine that person in that bed or who you're serving could be you. Have integrity. Do the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do. Washing your hands should not have been such a phenomenon during COVID because we've been washing our hands. So if you weren't washing your hands, you were nasty, Deborah. Go wash your hands. Do the right thing because you should wash your hands. So compassion, integrity. The third thing, Deborah, is do the work. Have a good, strong work ethic. come to Washington Hospital is not Bartonelli Hospital Center. So as long as I'm there, I am going to do the best job that I can to make sure that my patients, my staff, my fellow colleagues get the best of me while I can, because that's what I'm paid to do. So do the work. So have compassion, have integrity, have work ethic. And then the next thing is also make sure you're a good communicator, Deborah. I don't know what I don't know. And I tell the nurses that I lead, I tell the patients that I go around on, if you don't tell me you're having pain in your toe, how do I know that? Unless I'm asking, but you also have to communicate. My nursing staff, I didn't know that you had a desire to go be on this committee. I asked, but you never said anything. So sometimes it is hard, and I might be harsh, Deborah, but you have to let that thing be known in order for people to help you communicate your needs and your desires. And then lastly, teamwork. You have to be a great team player, at least in the healthcare profession. There is not a single day, Deborah, that I can do my job and not have somebody assist me. Period. Point blank. It's impossible. And I say there aren't a lot of things that I say that are impossible, but it is impossible to work in a hospital, to be a nurse and not ask someone for assistance. And so having those 5 things, I think, will set you up for success. And you just transition that and mold it differently if you're in a leadership role, but making sure that you communicate and get that person behind you that is going to support you, Deborah, and be confident what you know and confident what you don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, media, talk about analyze, optimize, maximize. that was certainly the way to do it. But lastly, I would love for you to just share, if you were to reflect on your own career, what is the one thing that you executed on that had the greatest impact?
Wow, Deborah, there's many. I think I would just simply say, honestly, is my faith really has sustained me. I have been knocked down. I have people who didn't want me to have a position. I think what I executed on was truly not stopping and truly just keep going and finding the next thing. And I know that might sound like a pie in the sky, but if I reflect, and I know this is maybe time for another segment, another show, but when I really reflect on the things that I've accomplished, being the chair of nursing, receiving multiple accolades, graduating from Howard University, that in and of itself, my graduation was not a traditional 4 years and I'm out of school. I left, went back, graduated. Now I'm on the advisory board for our university, for our nursing program. So when I reflect on that is just don't quit. Find the next thing. And if you fall forward, try not to fall backwards, fall forward and get up, and really know that your faith, hopefully in whomever you worship or serve or wherever you find and receive joy and rejuvenation from, let that push you forward and don't quit. And what I thought that I would have accomplished at now, nearly almost not quite 50 years of age, I would not change a single barrier or hurdle that I had to overcome to get to where I am today, Deborah. So for me, it's just put on the blinders, stay focused, and keep going, and it will happen. I believe delay does not always mean denial. So just keep moving forward.
Great advice. I tell you, I think that's great advice. Run your own race, right? Put the blinders on. And then finally, just let our audience know how they can learn more about the Black Nurses Collaborative.
Thank you so much, Deborah. You can find us at theblacknursecollaborative.com. We're also on IG and Instagram at Black Nurse Collaborative, where Deborah is stalking us. And so you can please go ahead and follow us there. We are having an amazing summit where we are going to be professional disruptors, and we are having a summit called The State of Black Health According to the Black Nurse. This event will be held in partnership with Howard University Hospital on Sunday, May 7th. There's only a few tickets and few seats left. So Deborah, if you want to come, let me know. And we would love for your audience to join us. And so that's where you can find us, blacknursecollaborative.com. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Oh, outstanding, Needy Bartonelli. Thank you so much for helping us get wealthy and learning more about your profession, your needs, and I wish you great success.
Deborah, can I say one more thing before we end?
Sure.
I would love to share to your audience, please take care of yourself. Go get those health checkups. It's been 3 years of COVID, and anytime I have a platform to share, ladies, get the mammograms, men, get those prostate checks. Please go see the dentist. please get those wellness checkups done, because 3 years has been a long time and many people have not seen their healthcare provider in 3 years. So if you have not done that, as Deborah and I have been sharing throughout this amazing time together, doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have. If you are not physically here to do those things that you've been called to do on this earth, please take care of you. So your family members need you, your friends need you. Go get those health and wellness checkups. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was a pleasure. Well, folks, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, the 3 takeaways from today's show.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
As bad as Trump was, his economy was worse, and Black America felt it the most. He cut health insurance while giving tax breaks to the wealthy and big business. As president, I put money in pockets and capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. There's a lot more to do, but we can do it together.
A great conversation today, all around health and wealth. And here are our 3 takeaways from today's show. The first one, health is wealth. Midi could not have said it better. And then secondly, what's become really clear in any profession is that you can monetize your skill set. But the most important thing I feel was shared today is that you must take ownership of your success. Thanks so much for joining us on Get Wealthy. I'm Deborah Owens, and you're watching us only on Black Star Network.